Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Silver Tears Tarot. So, today, you might have predicted it, is going to be a soulmate snapshot because I noticed every time I put something out there, I'll put those cards of the day out there. They provoke a little thought, and then all of a sudden, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to go ahead and do a reading. And I just pick something out of the air of the day, and usually not something that we're going to go deeply into. Those things I like to save for the longer readings. This is a snapshot, so it might be a little bit shorter, but who knows? Sometimes we get kind of deep into that energy. It'll be, as always, a general reading for this collective. And, the collective is constantly being defined. So it's not going to resonate with everybody. But if you find that you may be one of the people within the collective and that it does resonate with you, maybe take a look at some of the other videos. Maybe even think about subscribing if it seems like it might be a good fit for you. So, what we're going to look at today is really some of the signs. One of the things that I've been hearing from you is I'm catching a lot of angel numbers on the clock lately. I'm seeing a car that looks like my person's car out and about. I'm seeing a lot of things that remind me of them, hearing their name a lot, things like that. What's going on? So we're going to look into that because it could actually mean a lot of things. My initial thought when I hear a lot of these is that it's a sign that you're moving in the right direction. Keep doing what you're doing. But it really does depend. And enough different people have come in with that question that we're going to take a closer look because that's like a 30,000-foot view answer anyway. So we're going to look in a little bit deeper with this and just kind of see what wants to come out. So let's get a picture of what's happening in the energy first today. And this is just kind of that energetic backdrop. The same thing that we like to pick out in a lot of our readings. We've got, Two of Wands, but in the upright. So this is a card of, this could be travel. This could be emotion. It could be emotional distance that's being traveled, but I get the sense that it's more of a decision to make a move. There's a decision to make a move. It's not sitting on your duff sort of energy today. More than anything, there's this feeling of moving forward. And I'm gonna see what else wants to come in with this because it's a nice energy. That of being able to move forward does seem like you've already put something into motion though. So we have the Two of Wands moving to the Three of Wands, and it seems like something that you've already set up so nicely that it moves right into play very quickly. We have the Queen of Swords. So quick decisions, not necessarily rash decisions, but quick ones that don't require a lot of, you're not going to sit and belabor a point. There is a decision to move forward. There's a feeling of being ready to move forward. It's like, yesterday's reading, we kind of had that rainy day energy, and I'm thinking this feels a little bit like, it feels a little bit more like the sun came out and you're ready to go, ready to do something. Here's that energy that's still hanging around from yesterday. This Five of Cups is hanging around in the background. It's come out as not quite an honorable mention twice now. The Justice card, though, is coming out to say that this is one of the things that this day represents is the ability to move things forward and to set things right. So if there is movement that you're making, this is a good opportunity. You may not feel it's coming out kind of sideways. You may or may not feel the benefit of the high ground today. You're very much protected, but you may not necessarily feel it. Not feeling it, definitely having it. We're going to go ahead and leave this sideways, the way that it fell out, and it really does kind of feel that way. But the protection is definitely there. So now we have the Hermit coming out to say that you're still kind of working against that feeling that you had yesterday of wanting to almost be a homebody and just stay away. And not everybody had it, but this was the pervasive feeling in the energy between you and your person. There's still a little bit of that hanging around, and it would just be so much easier not to make this emotional distance or make this move that you very much feel like there's the energy there to make. There's also this energy in the background wanting to kind of pull you down, stop you from making it, make you overthink it a little bit. This is the Eight of Swords. It is overthinking, but it's like feeling like you're in a prison because you can't get a real bead on the situation. But this blindfold and the bounds, the binding around her is very much it's something that it actually ultimately has some control over, but she doesn't realize how much. And there's water in front of her that she could step into. She can feel that there's water there, but again, she has no idea how much. It's a small amount, but she's afraid even of that. So she's feeling bound by, on one side, her thoughts, and on the other side, her emotions. And so this is a feeling of being trapped, but not really being trapped. It's just that with the perception the way that it is, it feels kind of like you don't know what you don't know. And that's a strong feeling, but I feel like a lot of you are overcoming it. I'm not so sure your person is. There is a feeling of, oh, we'll just take all of these. We've got the Six of Swords and the Ten of Cups. There is a feeling of an opportunity. This is an opportunity to kind of reconsider what's been happening emotionally within the energy. With the sun coming out, it's like some things have a little bit more light shining on them. So now it's a matter of what you want to do with it. Do you want to stay inside? Your person is inclined to maybe think about staying inside, or do you want to come out and take a look at the big picture? Now, the thing is, you got to be careful with there's so much difference between yesterday's vibe and today's vibe that this can come out feeling a little too good to be true. So it's a chance for you to practice on what do you do when you run into something that feels a little too good to be true. But it may actually be seeming that way because of the contrast between yesterday and today's energy. However, there's no reason that you wouldn't want to take that and kind of parlay it into something incredibly positive. We have the Ace of Wands here, which when we see that one come out, we often see that it is related to, it's often related to something that is going to set your soul on fire. And both you and your person have something like that you're moving toward. You also, with this energy though, anything could happen. You have the Nine of Wands here. It's feeling like there are things that you used to be really resistant to, but there is something that has happened here that's loosened that level of resistance. And oh, we're done there. Has loosened that level of resistance, and now you're stuck looking at the situation and saying, all right, this is kind of my energy that I now have to work with. What does this mean for me? How do I want to use it? I'm semi-confident about it, but this is just beautiful weather. It's very inviting to go outside. Again, I feel like there's a little bit of resistance to that, but there's an awful lot more that's wanting to move you in the direction of going out and making some real progress in your healing. I mean, I feel like that's maybe the best way to state that. So that's kind of what's happening there in the current energy. Let's jump into why you might be seeing some of the signs or feeling some of that fortuitous energy. So again, one of the reasons that we get this backdrop is because that fortuitous energy, feeling like anything could happen, is partially because of that overall energy that is now in the backdrop here, with kind of that emotional sun having come out. So fortuitous energy could make things seem even more good to be true than they ordinarily would. That's the sort of thing that we pull these cards to find out. We pull these cards so that we can learn what is the context in which we would take the answers to the questions that we're after today. So as we're looking, it's about the energy and the signs that the energy you might have been feeling, the signs you might have been seeing, the angel numbers, the cars driving, the name that comes up, the constant reminders that seem above and beyond the usual constant reminders. So let's see what's behind that. Because like I said, my 30,000 foot view answer was, this is something, this is the collective basically headed in the right direction. Okay, but we've got the sun in reverse. It's meant to call your attention to something. It's something that was an opportunity that was essentially missed, that this is calling your opportunity to it because you have an opportunity to rectify something. It's not necessarily like many of your people want to go back in time and fix something very specific that happened. This is less like that and more like the opportunity to make something right that never could be made right. So I'm reminded of problems that, so I will share with you that when I was very young, I lost a parent, okay? And it was one of those things that you feel like you can't get past. You feel like there's not a way to heal from that. However, having children and raising them past the age that I was when I lost my parent has been incredibly healing to me. It's an opportunity to set something right that feels like it could never be set right. So that's a super intense example, but it is an example. So you've got something here in your situation that felt like it could never be set right, but it actually can be, and that these signs are showing you that that opportunity is there. So you've got the Temperance card, which it's really about. Yesterday, I used this deck when I did the meditation mantras reading or the video. So if you haven't seen that one, it's kind of cool. Just kind of goes through those meditation mantras that pop up in our readings sometimes. I use this one to talk about acceptance, okay? And acceptance is a big part of this overall vibe. So it's making sure, it's kind of like accepting that there is almost the world in reverse here. That when I see the world in reverse, it feels like unfinished business. It's accepting that there's unfinished business, but also accepting that there's a lesson in that unfinished business. With the Seven of Pentacles, this is something that is an investment that did not come through all the way. This is an investment that you need to make in yourself, but it's something that you also are going to want to let go of. So here's something that also came out in yesterday's meditation mantras, and it was around that one for attachment that you guys hear me say all the time. It's about releasing attachments to people and situations and the outcomes of those situations. You want to release the attachments, the expectations, the assumptions that you have about those things, not only because it's not helpful, but because it limits them. Putting that energy out there of attachment actually limits the possibilities of what could happen. And that was one of the things that came out in the meditation, but it's also really one of the things that comes out with this card. So we have the Nine of Swords here, and the Nine of Swords is in reverse, which is basically where we want to see it. We also have the Page of Pentacles. This is really fantastic. So your attention is being called to this situation overall, but hopefully not in a triggering sort of way. It's basically calling you back to say, here are some lessons. Please continue down these paths. And the thing is, you guys in this collective are already actively working on those lessons represented by the Page of Pentacles. And you're already moving down that path. And so that 30,000 foot view is not so far off. But one of the reasons that it's telling you to continue there is because there is so much here for you to gain from it. Things that you wouldn't think could be made right can actually be made right, but not always in the fashion that you would have expected. Like, I wanted my mom back, and what I got was the life that my mother would have wanted to live. It's not the way that I would hope to have resolved it, but it created a resolution nonetheless. This is super important. So we have the Nine of Swords here, which is saying this, the things that you're seeing, you know, the numbers and the signs, those are really about just kind of bringing you back more gently to this, what's tied to these lessons for you. Because one of the things that we've talked about in the past is that you would be disinclined to stick with these lessons and spend too much time on them if they weren't attached to something that was so important to you or somebody who was so important to you. And so that's kind of you know, part of the message that wants to come through here as well. It makes it a little bit more gentle, but it is still very much a tie. It's very much a tie that you are unable to get away from right now. And so it's a gentle reminder to come back and deal with this, to deal with something that is controlling you. And it's got, you know, it's got that feeling, not so much of an addiction in this case. It feels more like obsessive thinking, more like not being able to get past something, and something that holds you back because you've been focused so strongly and heavily on this thing that, so it comes across as something that is just a part of you because it's somebody that you're bonded to, and this is lessons associated with your person. This is not like the devil energy comes from your person, but it is associated with your person because that's where you end up getting triggered. So that's where it ends up manifesting. But it's getting in the way of you actually doing things that are going to allow you to move forward, which is what I'm seeing with this Fool card in reverse. We've got the Queen of Wands and the Nine of Pentacles, each in reverse here. And with the Queen of Wands in reverse, this is something that, again, it's like here, I'm going to slow you down from, it's wanting to slow your roll and make sure that you are paying attention to something other than the distractions that are happening in your life. The Nine of Pentacles is that feeling that you get when you're emotionally independent and you're just sort of rolling through life. And so the Queen of Pentacles, or I'm sorry, the Queen of Wands is this force that kind of allows you to push your way through life, allows you to roll through life. So the Queen of Wands in reverse is saying, slow that roll, slow your roll. The one here with the Nine of Pentacles in reverse, the message that wants to come with that is, I'm going to make sure that you stop moving so quickly and with such certainty, because you're going to feel like you don't necessarily have that protection that you absolutely have. You're going to question a couple of things. And part of it is seeing these signs and saying, wait a minute, is it just me? So this is telling me it's not just you, and that your attention is being brought back to your lessons. In a minute, we'll check into, of course, what those lessons need to be. But we've got the Two of Cups and the Three of Cups, with the Three of Cups coming out in reverse and the Two of Cups coming out in the upright. So this is, all right, this is bringing you back to this relationship, this partnership, and this bond in particular. This Two of Cups feels like the Lover's card to me. Not because of a choice so much, but because of the type of bond that's represented with this Two of Cups. And this Three of Cups is saying, hey, remember what's not happening in your life right now, which feels a little bit harsh. But it also, everything is still taking the edge off of these lessons. And that's what we see with the Nine of Swords in the reverse. So long story short, short story long, depending on how you want to look at it. I didn't think I was gonna say it for this long, but the tumultuous, fortuitous energy that you've been feeling, the signs that you've been seeing are meant to bring your attention back to this situation with your person and the lessons that are meant to be learned from it there. So that's basically what they're teaching you. So you are moving in the right direction, but you've got to just, you're reminded to continue with your lessons. So let's see what that looks like. What is continuation with those lessons look like? The Three of Cups in reverse. So we see here that it matches the Three of Cups over here, but it's got this added layer to it that really kind of feels like figuring out why it is that you're not happy in situations where you're not happy. So if you ever get into a place where you feel like you're uncomfortable, you feel like you're still lonely, even though you're in a room full of people, it's that kind of feeling. This is what you're after. This is what you're looking to solve. It's a big, it's difficult for you to get to it. It's difficult for you to find really the edge to pull up to begin making this better. But this is going to be around your feminine energy. It's going to be around your ability to nurture yourself and to allow energy and love to flow. Something has gotten in the way of allowing your love to flow in both in and out. Typically, you've been very good at giving love, but not as great at receiving it. And your person has had problems in both directions. But what we see here is you now have some challenges in both directions because of what you've experienced with your person. So you've got some things to work out there that are actually complications from this, even though it was here to trigger you about some lessons that you're there to learn. What we're seeing here is before you can get too deeply into some of those lessons, you've even got to address some of the matching ones that happened with this relationship. But you're going to be in a position to do it. Here with the King of Wands, this is a pretty balanced King of Wands. This is a pretty balanced Four of Wands. And Four of Wands is about balance to begin with. So with the King of Wands, you've got all of the push that you need to do what you need to do. You just kind of have to direct yourself. And we saw that in our previous reading. What do you do when it's time for you to walk away? You know, when we were looking at that yesterday, one of the things that we saw was that it was more of a gentle walking away, but it's still something that's going to take putting one foot in front of the other. And this is that energy that's going to allow you to do it. This is the energy of stability that's going to be kind of the reward. But there's still a lot of work that has to be done here with regard to what we're seeing with the Ace of Cups and the Empress card here. It's finding that balance, and it's balance really from the feminine side of it. It's that nurturing balance and being able to allow yourself to go back to being very vulnerable. So you've taken a hit to your vulnerability because of this situation, and because of that it's caused you to be a little resistant to a change that needs to happen, and yet you've got a cycle that we know is wrapping up. We know that from the June readings. So this is something that if once you're able to really face that truth and allow the change that is coming your direction, most assuredly coming in your direction, you're going to be able to start to benefit from it. So this is because it's something that has to end in order to allow something new to rise in its place. Okay, that's the feeling behind the Death card, the message behind the Death card. But what we have here with the Chariot card also coming out, it's that sense of you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. There's definitely a feeling of needing to go from where you're currently standing. And to keep moving. There's a feeling of needing to keep moving. But look for that guidance. With the Hierophant, we've got spiritual guidance. We've got guidance that is here for you. All you have to do is come and take it. And we have the energy of change. And so when you see the Chariot and the Wheel of Fortune come out together, both in the upright, you know that the potential for change is significant, because the Wheel of Fortune is energy that kind of happens on behalf of the universe, where the Chariot is energy that comes from within you. So if you're able to have both of those things happen at the same time, this is really, I think, why when I look into this energy, that despite the fact that there's a little bit of a lack of confidence, there's a lot of ability and passion and thrust to kind of move forward here. And to know, yes, you're proceeding well, you're doing what you need to be doing. Keep going down that road. Keep finding the answers and the solutions to the questions that you have, and the lessons that you're learning with regard to this person. We look at your lessons in every single reading to see where your day-to-day focus ought to be, because we're committed to finding your solutions and learning what those lessons are and guiding you down the path. It's not just here's somebody to commiserate about this difficult relationship, even though a lot of us are in it. It's also here's what you can do about it. And when we go into the extended, that's usually what we look at a little bit more deeply as well. So we're not doing an extended today. This is just that soulmate snapshot that I really didn't think was going to go more than like 15 minutes, because I was just like, give me an answer about some of these signs and this energy that's coming out for people. I think tomorrow we're going to go back into the into my inbox to get a question from there. There has been the concept of this person being incredibly scared and what's happening with them. We're going to look a little bit more deeply into why they are so scared and what you can do about it. So that'll be tomorrow's reading. I look forward to seeing you there. Have a great rest of the day or evening.